Hello, everyone. I am Rosana Jatobá, and it's a pleasure to have you here during these talks I've been mediating about innovation with so special guests in our festival. Our next guest is the void paper leader in South America, Hjalmar Fugmann. Welcome, Hjalmar. It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. Thank you, Rosanna. It's nice to meet you. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Yalman, when we talk about innovation, we think immediately about a solid company with a very strong team of qualified and capable people that understand innovation as something fixed that belongs to a certain group. This conception is very far away from the real concept of innovation, right?
Yeah, I agree with you. In the end of the day, I believe that's one of the most common mistakes we make when we think on innovation. Guys in a microscope with white vests and thinking or code writing for a new app we will use in the future, but it's more democratic than that, is wider than that, and definitely innovation should be part of all the companies and all the areas in the society as a whole. So yeah, we have a responsibility in R&D, for example, and in other specific areas, but innovation only will work when we have this spirit, like in all the areas of the society. It is a wide topic.
This concept of innovation as an element that perpasses all the pores of the company, is this something new or it was built during the years?
Yeah, I think it's something that is really simple, is overwhelming how simple it is sometimes. And I believe we had like this movement on the specialization on innovation, and I believe we forgot this part of our day by day. We innovate every day in our daily lives, in the family, in our houses. So I believe is yeah, it's like a return to the origins, back to the innovation.
And this is linked to the technological aspect. The genius with amazing ideas after long hours of studies about a subject. Just these people are capable of innovating. But we understand that innovation is about people.
Definitely, definitely. That's another important topic. We need to remember that in the end of the day, innovation is from people to people. When we think on innovation as a process, we need to be focused. There's a quote I love from Alice in Wonderland. The cat says, "If you don't know where you're going, any path will do the trick." So, yeah, basically innovation is something we need to focus on it because there are so many technologies, so many possibilities, and we can get lost. So when we talk about technology, when we talk about 5G, AI, augmented reality, digital twins, quantum computing, we believe we forgot that they are means that we can get to an end. They are not the end, they are not the innovation itself. They allow us, they enable us to move forward for other paths. So, in the end, I believe that this innovation, they want to transform people's lives for the better. Maybe it could be quantum computing. One of the best applications that we expect from it is to accelerate the development of new drugs. So, yeah, it's a mean to get to an end. So we can get to a good quality of life and have more longevity. And that's where the human factor comes into place. When we think on design thinking, we have the personas, as they say. What this person needs, what do they have, what do they want, what are their pain points, what are the challenges. And that's really simple. It's just reminding us that who's the final recipient of our innovation. People. It's to make life better.
Maybe this is why we can understand why some startups fail fail because they focus on solution and they don't focus in the problem, on understanding where people need them.
That's right. And it's interesting because you see many interactions of technology. We tried to solve all the problems with drones a couple of years ago. Then we decided that all problems of humankind would be solved with digital twins. It's important to notice that technology is an enabler, it's not the ultimate goal.
Any country can innovate. Brazil is able to do this. When we think about innovation, we think about developed countries, Israel, Japan, United States, but the ability of innovate is for everyone, for every country.
I think it's something that comes from the human being. Everybody can innovate, of course. And I think it's fantastic to see creativity. Brazilians are creative, and I believe it's interesting if you compare it with other cultures. We're flexible, we're agile, we're innovative, and I think we have nice hubs for innovation in Brazil. And I think it's about focus, it's about the government and the private sector, the universities, everybody together creating an innovation environment. But we have potential.
Yes, you mentioned something very interesting that is the public involvement in investing in science technology, but we don't see a lot of that in Brazil. Maybe the private sector needs to get involved in that.
Sure, I agree. And yeah, sometimes we have schools that defend a wider state or a reduced minimum state. When we think on a minimum state, well, the society problems will need to be fixed by the society, and then we have the universities, then we have people, then we have companies to fulfill for this role. So innovation has no support from the government, but we cannot just blame on them and just that.
What about Brazil in this aspect? Do you feel that companies, the private sector, they wish to have a more innovative environment in their companies?
Yeah, I can tell that. I believe we have so many interesting things going on in Brazil, and paper and pulp, we have many interesting roads. We have innovation, we have paper, we have forestry, and I believe our resources and our time is in this sense.
Do you want to share with us innovation initiative that you have in your paper sector, something that enlighten you?
Wow. Um, let's put it like this. Last year, with Klabin, we decided to work together in a process to in a startup acceleration project. It was a project from the from the German Brazilian trade chamber, and we had Klabin as a paper manufacturer, and my company as a machinery manufacturing company. And we had this context, two countries. The idea was to bring solutions, sustainable solutions that can be used for packaging solutions, focusing on barriers. So we selected a startup, a project from a startup, and in this talk we had universities, startups, Klabin, with the chamber, and this conversation is better, is richer, and I think it's interesting how to bring different elements, different chain producers, different parts of the chain. It's better than an internal dialogue.
Actually, collaboration is key. You cannot innovate if you don't understand the power and importance of each link of the chain.
Of course, it's impossible. When you stop and think about it, the time between the technology waves is shorter every day, and there's a huge pressure in the institutions when we talk about innovation cycles. And besides that, the different technologies, they they create disruption themselves in the industries, and we're not talking only about digital players. Any player from a different sector can come to with a solution that can help or can compete with you. So that's why innovation is so important, because it brings more knowledge, and cooperation is fundamental because it reduces the lead times, and in the end the interaction makes 1 plus 1 3, because the result is bigger than the sum of the parts.
It's hard to think about the innovation phenomena when is there determination on it, when a company decides that from now on you need to innovate. That comes from the higher hierarchy of a company. This is not how things should work.
No, it would be fantastic, right? Like, okay, guys, so in 10 minutes everybody will be innovative now. That's impossible, makes no sense. To have innovation, we definitely need to have some pre existing conditions. Um, we have, it's like a tree, right? You need nutrients, you need light, sunlight, water. Same thing with the innovation, you need some conditions. So I think you need to have a favorable environment in the corporate culture, provide safe spaces so teams can express themselves, can speak their minds, they can even disagree, other opinions, and criticize things. Criticism is good because it makes your idea better. So yeah, you need to embrace mistakes, errors. That's something that may happen. It's complicated. We hate mistakes, right? When we think on the corporate world, we try to avoid it in a classical view, but it's the only way of to learn and learn fast is committing mistakes and doing it wrong, failing, right? You do it fast and you learn fast and you're better. So those elements should be in the culture so you can have a better environment where people feel at ease. Innovation is not an R&D thing. It's in maintenance, it's in the shop floor, it's in the controllership, finance. Innovation should be all around. And for that, the culture needs to be there too. And besides that, Rosanna, if you allow me, it's important to give tools to people, right? When we think on the innovation culture, yeah, it's important to have the culture, but we need the training, we need the processes, we need the tools, and they serve as a base. It's not about, you know, doing like this and it's all okay, we're innovative. No, we need to train people, we need to let them know how it works, we need to let them feel safe in digital topics, for example, in pulp and paper. Digital adoption is something new in many fronts. How can we translate that, this universe, from the analog to the digital? How can we think on people waking up to a new world where everything is digital? We need to bring the people there. It's a prerequisite for innovation. We need to think and be aware of the tools that we have, and we need to train people. Just a couple of examples of what we need to do when we think on an innovative environment. And is no like pushing a button, no.
And also a process where you cannot worry about making mistakes. You need to be hunger about the risk and recognize this didn't work. We recognize that, and when you are focused in solutions with a continuous improvement, innovation will come. Am I right?
Sure. And being afraid of doing it wrong, we feel we are idealists, right? We think that we have an idea and everything will be fine and everything will go smooth. And it's not like that. When we are more realistic, we notice that we do it wrong sometimes, and some mistakes can take us somewhere else. So, in the end of the day, innovation is a journey. I believe we have some very appealing technologies. You sometimes you feel like you are attached to your idea. Sometimes we have a better idea. Sometimes we are in dead road. We need to be humble and recognize that we are in a dead end, and we need to go back to the drawing table. That's part of the process. And there is a process, and it's a continuous process, it's a journey.
And that is also purpassed by the uncertainty, the changes that are each day faster and faster. Sometimes you have a trajectory that you imagined, and then you realized this was all wrong and you need to reposition yourself.
Yeah, you're right. And there's a internal example. We had a beautiful idea, and I still think it's a very nice idea. Think on this: in the packaging production system, we know that cardboard is highly recyclable. I'm sorry, and it's normal to recycling it. The used paper is used OCC, old corrugated containers, and you can collect it and you can put it back to the blend, and it will be a card box again. And it's interesting. It's circular economy and sustainability. It's beautiful. The idea is that these OCCs sometimes they are highly fragmented. So we need to think like an eBay platform to buy and purchase OCC, used cardboard, right? And you have like a platform where sellers and buyers will meet, and you have freight information, material quality, you have differences there, and we can be the intermediate, right? So the idea was beautiful in theory, but when we decided to go to the market with this idea, China decided to to impose some restrictions on used cardboard, and we had a overflow of um, used cardboard in United States, and the idea was not that good in that market. The idea was good, but the market conditions were not there anymore. So you need to be humble and go back again.
That's right. Yalman, we started this talk saying that innovation is about people. I have some data from McKinsey Consultants, a renowned consultancy about Latin America, saying that innovation is more than a cultural value, it's something that will impact financially a company. Companies with gender diversity will have two times more profit than those without this diversity. And when we think about race, this is three times more profit. This idea of performance in a diverse environment, is this going to inspire companies to have more diversity?
Yeah, I think the reason is pretty simple. It works, right? If you want to create a diverse environment, look, innovation should be diverse in its own nature. If I hire three people just like me, well, the ideas will be my ideas, and that's all. Innovation will be like fake innovation, a pale innovation, if innovation can be the word. So, one of the main catalyzers when we think on innovation and when we think on solutions, even innovation when it comes to the environment, is diversity and inclusion. Gender diversity, race, ethnic origins, doesn't matter.
Yalmar, I loved talking to you. It was something very comfortable, organic. You gave us some very interesting elements and you helped us thinking about this journey of innovating with a purpose. I loved this talk, and I hope to talk to you soon.
Okay, thank you very much.
Innovation and sustainability are amazing topics, and they're going to come in future talks. Stay tuned, and I'll be back soon.